A 24-year-old real estate agent in British Columbia got a call from a woman with a strange accent asking to see $1 million house. The call made her uneasy enough that she told people about it, uneasy enough that her boyfriend agreed to wait outside during the showing just in case. And still, on the evening of February 2nd, 2008, Lindsay Buziak walked into the vacant house with the prospective buyers. Minutes later, she was dead. The couple vanished, and more than 15 years later, police still have not publicly identified who walked into that house with her. This case is so disturbing because it does not feel random. It feels designed, a lure, a performance, a fake appointment built for one purpose only: to get Lindsay inside that house at that time with those people. That interpretation is based on the unusual setup police described and still unidentified buyers, not on a publicly announced official motive. This is the story of Lindsay Buziak and the house showing trap. Lindsay Buziak was 24 years old in early 2008. She was living and working in the Victoria area of British Columbia, building a career in real estate. Public police statements and case reporting consistently described her as a young, ambitious, and well-liked, someone at the beginning of an adult life, trying to establish herself in a competitive field. And real estate, at least from the outside, can look glamorous. Nice houses, nice neighborhoods, promising clients. But the job also requires a strange kind of trust. You meet strangers. You open empty houses. You step into a private space with people you barely know. Most of the time, that is just part of the work. In this case, it may have been the vulnerability someone exploited. Because what happens next to Lindsay was not just a street encounter. It was not a sudden attack during a routine night out. It appears to have begun with a phone call. In the days before her murder, Lindsay received a call from a woman who claimed she and her husband were interested in buying a house in the roughly $1 million range. Public summaries of the case say the caller had a foreign-sounding accent and wanted to see the property quickly. Lindsay reportedly found the call strange enough that she mentioned it to her father and to her boyfriend, Jason Zallo. That detail is huge because it means Lindsay did not just violently walk into danger. Something about that interaction had her already unsettled. Not enough to cancel the appointment altogether, but enough to say out loud, "This feels off." That characterization comes from widely cited reporting that she was wary of the phone call and discussed her discomfort with the people close to her. And in cases like this, those early instincts can become heartbreaking in hindsight, because you can almost hear the normal part of the brain trying to smooth it over. Maybe the accent just made the call feel unfamiliar. Maybe the wealthy clients really did ask odd things. Maybe it was just nerves. Maybe it was nothing. But maybe it was the first sign that this appointment was not real at all. According to public summaries, the woman said she and her husband had recently arrived from Vancouver and were looking for a home. She reportedly wanted something expensive and wanted to move quickly. The identity tied to that caller was later found to be false. That means the murder, if this was indeed a setup, did not begin at the front door of the house. It began over the phone, with a voice, a story, and a role. February 2nd, 2008 was a Saturday. Lindsay and her boyfriend Jason had lunch that afternoon. Their bill was reportedly paid at 4:24 p.m. Afterward, they separated. Lindsay was expected to go to the property showing later that evening, and Jason planned to meet her there or nearby. He was also with a friend or colleague during part of that time frame. The house Lindy was going to show was located at 1702 D'Souza Place in Saanich, a suburban area near Victoria. It was vacant, upscale, and sitting at the end of a cul-de-sac. The kind of place that, under normal circumstances, should have felt quiet and safe. Saanich police have publicly stated that Lindsay met the unknown individuals outside the home at about 5:30 p.m. that evening. And that setting matters, because the cul-de-sac are supposed to feel isolated, private, contained. There is only one way out. So when you hear that a young realtor was murdered there by two clients who then seemed to disappear, it almost sounds impossible. And yet, that is the shape of this case. Witnesses later described seeing a man and a woman walking up the cul-de-sac towards the house shortly before the showing. Police said Lindsay met the pair outside around 5:30 p.m. Public descriptions from the investigation said the man appeared white with dark hair and the woman appeared blonde, between the ages of 35 to 45 years old, and wore a distinctive dress. Witnesses also reportedly noticed that Lindsay seemed to greet them like strangers rather than acquaintances. That is one of those tiny details that carries so much weight. She did not seem comfortable in the way the people do when a known client arrives. She seemed to be meeting them for the first time, so this was not somebody casually dropping in. Not somebody she recognized, just two people walking up a quiet street toward an empty house. Try to picture that for a moment. Early evening, A vacant, upscale house, a young agent waiting outside, a well-dressed couple approaching on foot. It probably looked ordinary enough from a distance, which makes it even more chilling, because some of the most dangerous setups are the ones that know exactly how to look normal. Because Lindsay had been uneasy about the appointment, her boyfriend Jason agreed to be nearby during the showing. Public reporting said he was delayed, but arrived in the area around the time Lindsay was inside with the couple. According to later accounts, Jason parked nearby with a friend and at one point saw someone through the glass at the front door. He waited, not wanting to interfere or make Lindsay's professional interactions awkward. That part of the story is brutal, because help was close, not across town, not unreachable, close. So close that if this had unfolded just a little differently, maybe the ending changes. It is speculation, of course, but it is impossible not to feel the proximity of the rescue in this case. Jason reportedly texted Lindsay. No response. He waited longer. Still nothing. At some point, the silence changed from normal to wrong. And this is where the suspense in the case becomes almost unbearable, because the listener knows what the people outside do not know yet. Every extra minute stretches, every delay feels loaded, and the house sitting there quiet at the end of the cul-de-sac starts to feel less like a property and more like a sealed box. Roughly 20 minutes after Lindsay went into the house, Jason went to the front door. Public summaries say he found it locked. Through the glass, he could see Lindsay's shoes in the entrance area. He knocked. No answer. He called out. Nothing. That was when he realized something was seriously wrong. The image is so specific. The locked door, the shoes inside, and no response. It is such a small scene, but it tells you everything about how quickly this appointment had become something else. While Jason called 911, the person with him reportedly went around the back of the property, found a gap in the fence, and discovered the rear patio door was open. Inside, Lindsay was found fatally stabbed. She had been attacked inside the home she was supposed to be showing. That is the reveal that gives this case its lasting power, because it confirms the worst possible version of what the phone call had suggested. This was not an awkward client interaction. This was not a robbery gone sideways in a public space. A young woman had been lured into an empty house and killed there. One of the most haunting aspects of this case is how the killer seemed to vanish. Police have long focused on an unidentified couple Lindsay met outside the home. Public reporting has noted that the front door was locked and the rear patio door was open, raising the possibility that the killer left through the back. But despite the neighborhood setting and the short time frame, no publicly identified suspect has been charged with the murder, and the case remains unsolved. That is incredibly difficult to wrap your head around. A cul-de-sac, a narrow window of time, a fake appointment, brutal killing, and then nothing. No clear public trail, no public identification of the fake buyers, just absence. Police immediately investigated the people closest to Lindsay, including Jason and the person who was with him. Public reporting says their movements were checked against available surveillance and other timeline information, and no charges were brought against them. The police have publicly said that Jason has cooperated over the years. That is important because in cases like this, public suspicion often rushes to the nearest familiar face. The boyfriend, the ex, the family, a person who was nearby. And while police did investigate those avenues, the case did not resolve there, at least not publicly. Another disturbing aspect of the investigation is the reported lack of forensic evidence. Public case summaries have said the scene yielded no useful fingerprints or DNA that could be tied to the killers in a way that would solve the case. Whether that reflects cleanup, gloves, limited contact, or other factors has never been publicly resolved. And that pushes the case even more in one direction: organization, preparation, control. A crime scene with little to work from often suggests the killer or killers either got lucky or came in an understanding exactly how not to leave themselves behind. The strongest theory in this case is that Lindsay herself was the intended target, not the house, not a random occupant, not a spontaneous opportunity. Lindsay. Why? Because the showing appears to have been arranged specifically around her. The phone call came to her. The buyers wanted that appointment. She expressed concern about the interaction beforehand, and she was killed almost immediately after entering the property with them. Those facts do not prove motive, but they strongly support the idea of a planned lure. If that theory is right, then the house was not the destination. It was the weapon, an empty stage chosen because it created privacy, control, and escape routes. That is what makes this case so unnerving. The killers may not have just targeted Lindsay. They may have built an environment for killing her. Another major theory is that someone close enough to Lindsay, socially, professionally, or indirectly, knew how to engineer the setup. That does not mean the person necessarily made the phone call personally. It could mean they knew enough about her job, her schedules, her habits, and the local market to create a believable scenario. Public reporting has long noted speculation that whoever set up the showing may have known Lindsay or have known people around her. And that theory is especially chilling because it turns the case inward. Instead of a stranger selecting a victim from a distance, it suggests knowledge, context, access, some awareness of which house, which agent, time, and which story would work. Again, this is not proof, it's just a theory, but it fits the careful feel of the trap. A third possibility is that the man and the woman who walked into the house with Lindsay were not the whole story. Maybe they were the killers, maybe one of them killed her while the other played a support role. Or maybe they were there to deliver her into a situation involving someone else. Public police materials focus on the couple as key unidentified individuals in the case, but the exact mechanics of the murder have never been publicly laid out in a way that answers every question. That uncertainty matters, because this case has always had almost a theatrical quality. Roles, entrances, timing, appearance, a woman with an accent, a wealthy buyer story, upscale vacant house, a boyfriend waiting nearby, but not too nearby. Everything about it feels arranged, and arranged stories often involve more than one moving piece. As the years passed, Lindsay's murder did not fade quietly. Her family, especially her father, continued pressing publicly for answers. This case remained one of the British Columbia's most discussed unsolved murders, in part because the setup was so specific and so difficult to dismiss as random violence. Sarich police continue to state that the investigation remains active. That says something important. This is not one of those cases where people remember it only because the internet thinks it's spooky. People remember it because the central question is so sharp. Who makes a fake real estate appointment, walks into a house with a 24-year-old woman, murders her within minutes, and then disappears so cleanly that years later, the case is still open? That kind of question does not easily go away. And neither does the image of Lindsay standing outside that house, waiting for the clients she had every reason to doubt, and still trying to do her job. And in a case like this, small details matter. A voice, an accent, a dress, a route in and out of the cul-de-sac, a story someone told that never quite made sense. Sometimes the difference between a mystery and an arrest is one person finally recognizing that a detail they nearly ignored was actually the key. There are some murder cases that terrify people because of how violent they are, others because of how close the danger was. This one does both, because Lindsay was not attacked in some isolated wilderness or a random public confrontation. She was lured into a nice house in a nice neighborhood for what should have been a normal appointment. And that normal appointment may have been the entire trap. She felt uneasy. She told people. She took precautions. She had someone waiting nearby. And somehow, even that was not enough. And that may be the most haunting part of all. Not that Lindsay trusted blindly, but that she was careful and the trap still closed. Because on February 2nd, 2008, a young realtor opened a front door for two strangers. And somewhere between the foyer and the back patio, they walked out with their future.